Are you as sick of winning as I am at this point? Okay, now let's talk about coronavirus more broadly and what's going on. So we will do, I'm not doing these daily anymore, but I'm sort of doing these weekly or as the data requires. The big picture on coronavirus is it's really, really bad here in the United States. A lot of the world has already figured out. January 20th, we got our first case. South Korea got their first case. They still have under 300 total deaths at the last I checked. We are obviously doing much, much worse than that, around 125,000 deaths in total right now. In terms of cases, we are setting new records in terms of new cases in the United States. We had almost 60,000 new cases in a single day on July 2nd, about 55,000 cases on July 3rd. Some lower numbers over the weekend. Typically over weekends and holiday weekends, the numbers decrease. So we could have today and tomorrow some huge numbers as a result of catching up on underreporting over the weekend. Now, a good thing is that death numbers are down. There's this growing idea on the right that the evil left, the Marxist socialist left, doesn't want to admit that deaths are down despite cases being up. Oh, I'm readily admitting it. And there's about 5 or 6 different possibilities about why it's going on. I don't want a single person to die. I don't want a single person to get coronavirus. And I hope that that continues. And we'll talk about why that may be going on in a little bit. In terms of cases, the hotspots are Florida, Texas, California remains a hotspot, Georgia, Arizona, the Carolinas, Tennessee. It's mostly red states plus California. Florida set a major record with the most new cases in a single week of any state since the start of the pandemic. They had over 59,000 cases in a 7-day period last week. The Phoenix, Arizona mayor has admitted they opened up too early. This is not the Republican governor of Arizona. This is merely an important person. But what I mean is they are speaking only from their Democratic perspective as mayor of Phoenix. Take a look at this.
We opened way too early in Arizona. We were one of the last states to go to stay at home and one of the first to reemerge, and we reemerged at 0 to 60. We had crowded nightclubs handing out free champagne, no masks. Our 20 to 44-year-olds, which is my own demographic, really led the explosion, and we've seen such growth in that area. We're seeing a lot of people go to large family gatherings and infect their family members. We are in a crisis related to testing. I was visiting a testing facility this weekend, people waiting still 8 hours.
Good for her for admitting it. Friends of mine in Arizona say it's an insane situation. Hospital capacity is rapidly filling up. In Texas, University of Texas Austin researchers expect hospitals in Texas in Austin rather, will be over capacity potentially by the end of the month. The mayor of Austin says they're in trouble. And a reality we're learning is, so we learned early that governors have to deal with the reality on the ground, whereas Trump doesn't. Trump can just say, we're putting out the embers and everything's going great. Governors have to deal with the real situation. Some of the governors choose to ignore the reality. Like, for example, we saw this in Texas. We're seeing it in Florida, Arizona. Mayors doubly have to deal with the realities that sometimes governors don't have to deal with. How many of our hospitals are full right now? Do we have to start telling people in Phoenix that they've got to maybe go to Tucson if they need an ICU bed, for example? So mayors are increasingly sounding the alarm. Now, let's get back to this question. Why are deaths so low compared to these new case numbers? Because when you look at the case numbers we're having now, bigger than we've ever had before, the death numbers are only a fraction of what we were having in April and early May. That's a good thing. We don't want people to die, but we want to know why this is going on. Deaths continue to trend down. So there's a few possibilities we've discussed, all of which are still on the table. One is that there's just a lag between cases and deaths. As the hospitals get better at treating people earlier in the disease, it may take even longer to be very sort of dark for people to die. And so the deaths haven't yet happened from a lot of these early cases. The idea is you need about 19 to 21 days for a case to become a death if it's going to. We're on day 17 right now. So if the explanation is that we just haven't seen the deaths yet from these new cases, we would expect the deaths to spike sometime in the middle or the end of this week. We're going to watch that. Another hypothesis is there's now a less deadly strain, which may be more contagious. In other words, it spreads more easily, but it is less severe. so it will cause fewer deaths per case. That's an assertion. We've not seen actual evidence of that yet. We want to be careful. Number three, some states could just be lying. I mean, that's the you know, it's a very simplistic explanation, but from what we've seen in Florida and some other states, it's possible states are seeing more deaths, but they're simply lying about it. Again, we need evidence to really believe that. The fourth possibility is that increasingly it's younger people now testing positive. So even though the total case numbers are going up, the number of people in the high risk age groups are less likely to be getting it now because they're staying home. And so a lot of these young cases are not ultimately going to lead to deaths. Number five is increased testing means that in general, you have less sick people getting tests. At an earlier point, tests were so difficult to come by that they were really restricted to people who were much more ill. Now, in those case numbers, you have people, you're capturing more of the cases, and a lot of those cases are less severe. That's a possibility. And then number six is some combination of these factors and or something that we don't yet know. So we're going to keep watching it. I have no desire to see deaths go up for political reasons. As I've already told you, the case for removing Donald Trump is crystal clear without a single additional death. And we will have, certainly in the next 72 hours, a lot more information about whether we can cross some of these possibilities off the list or whether they are likely or realistic hypotheses. Big announcement today, next Tuesday, okay? Tuesday, July 14th. We have two things going on. The third David Pakman Show chess tournament, okay? Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, third David Pakman Show chess tournament. We're doing one a month. That will be the July tournament. And, very exciting, we will have a huge one-day membership special. You don't have to play the chess tournament to get the membership special. We took, unfortunately, at the end of June last year, we had a ton of members sign up because of a promo we ran. A lot of those yearly memberships came up for renewal in the last week. And because of the virus, a lot of people were unable to renew. So we unfortunately had like our biggest 3-day loss of memberships that we've ever had. So next Tuesday, we're going to try to get some of these folks back and bring in new people. So we will have a single day membership special on Tuesday. We will also have the chess tournament that day. To be notified about both, just get on my mailing list. Go to davidpakman.com, top right of the website. You can subscribe to the mailing list. Very, very exciting. Let me know what's going on in your state in terms of the virus. I'm on Twitter at dpakman.